Realtree's Midwest Whitetail is brought to you by Cuddyback, America's Best Bowstrings, Drake Non-Typical, Easton Arrows, Frigid Forage, Fuse, Grizzly Coolers, Hoyt, and Realtree.
Well, right now is a perfect time to be thinking about food plots. I've got some clover to frost seed, which I need to be doing right now, but I haven't got to it yet. But that got me thinking about my top 4 food plots, food sources, whatever you want to call them. But I'm going to break it into 2 separate groups. I think that's the only fair way to do it. And one is going to be attraction for hunting, and another one's going to be for all-around nutrition. And so I'm going to start with the attraction one, and number 4 on the list would be soybeans for me. You guys can chime in too if you got some that you really like. I'd be interested to hear about them, but soybeans would be number 4 on the list. I mean, it's got good protein levels, 25-30%. The only reason it's down number 4 is the attraction of soybeans sometimes right after the beans yellow can be kind of low. Now, if it's late season and it's snow and cold, soybeans could be as high as number 1. So, but for now, I've got it number 4. While we're shed hunting today, we'll keep going over this list. Now, we're talking about the attraction side, basically hunting season. Number 3 on the list is going to be Big and Beastie and Autumn Quick Plot. That's my number 3. Now, sometimes if I plant late Big and Beastie, I don't get it in time. Sometimes I'll mix those two, but of course Iowa's got the soil where you can do that. You really got to know what you have. Otherwise you can just plant them separate side by side, but I like both of those together. That would be my number 3, and we'll get the quad unloaded up here on the project farm, get the shed hunting, and I'll continue the list. Well, we found a little spot. I want to go for a walk right here through this creek bottom, look for some sheds. But back to our food plot list. Top 4 on the attraction side. We're to number 2, and number 2 is pure trophy clover. That's 5 different blends, I think, of clover is what's in that. And that's depending on how you're keeping it mowed or whatever. If it's fresh, green, and growing, you can have up to 25 or even higher than that % protein. So the attraction on that is going to be good through, well, it depends on where you're at, of course. When you start getting a few frost, it'll start to go dormant. But early season, that's why it's number 2. Early season, it's about as good as anything. So that's my number 2 on the list on the attraction side. Let's go for a little hike and see what we can find. Fair number of deer tracks through here. Well, no sheds in that little section. Number 1 on my list to hunt over is going to be corn. I don't like it on a nutritional standpoint, but from an attraction standpoint, there's a certain time of the hunting season where it'd be number 1 on my list. So that wraps up my list on the attraction hunting food plots, and then we'll go into the nutritional ones, the top 4 on that. We'll try to do it every time I find a shed. I'll do another food plot, top 4, but that means we got to find 4 sheds, so we better get to marching. There's a deer right there. These are the areas I really like. It's just no food right here in this area. Otherwise, it feels pretty sheddy. Not to be confused with any other word. It sounds similar. Well, let's go into that cover. That's south facing. We better go hit that. Got that one, Joey? Ha-ha! You're on the board, fellas. I'll bet you Jared knows that buck probably. I don't recognize him from the vlog, but I bet you Jared would. Well, sweet. We got one so far. We get to go back to our food plot list. So we're on to nutrition. Number 4 on nutrition, I thought about a few different ones, but I ended up deciding on alfalfa. It's it's one of the first to green up like clover. It is one of the first to go dormant when you get frost. And sometimes I'll use a spot that they don't bed in, and I really don't want a competing food source late season, so I'll put alfalfa there because I know it's one of the first to brown out and they won't be used at late season. So alfalfa made the list, number 4. All right, let's go find another shed. There's a nice little hike in there. Picked up 2 small ones. Who knows what that one looked like before it got all chewed up. Tree rats got to it. And then this little guy. That takes a pretty good hide spot, that one. We get to get back to our list of nutrition. Top 4 food plots for nutrition. At number 3, I'm back to the Big and Beastie and the Autumn Quick plot. Normally I mix those like I said before, but you could do them side by side or whatever. I just like to plant them together. It just gives more variety. And then at number 2, moving up the list, is soybeans. Soybeans are really good nutrition wise. Like I said, they've got that one period where they're kind of slow. The deer don't hit them real well, but if that's all you had on the farm, they'd definitely hit it. And then late season, they could even be number 1. But that'd be my number 2, would be soybeans. You've got the summer food source where they're hitting the foliage, and they hit that about as good as anything in the summer. Clover's right up there too, but we got to find another shed to get to number 1, so got to keep looking. That one's been there a little bit, at least a year old. There's number 4. Sweet. So now back to our list. Nutritional food plots. Number 1, I'm going to go with pure trophy clover. Greens up first thing to green up in the spring, and it'll be one of the last things to frost out in the fall. So you've got a pretty wide window there when they're really hitting it. So all things considered, I know soybeans would be right up there, but I'd go with pure trophy clover for my number 1. Let me know what you guys would go with. Your top 4, be interested to hear. Back to shed hunt. It's always a good sign when you spot an antler from about 150 yards out. That's got to be a pretty good antler down there. Maybe it's the other side off this split G2 buck. That is a cool antler right there. Look at the brow tine on that thing. Chewed up just a little bit here. A little bit down here on the burr. I don't think that's the other side off this. No, does not look to be at all. All right, well, we got a couple of, gosh, that was a tall buck. We got a couple more to find then. Well, let's keep working our way around. Let's say give us 5. Big 5 spotter. Here we go. Just came around the corner from finding number 5. We've got number 6 laying right there. Well, I guess we're not gonna make it.
Hear that horsepower.
Yeah, I guess that one's a year old. It's in awful good shape for a year old. I don't think it could have been dropped this year early. bet it is a year old. No idea what buck that is. Jared might know. Well, starting to stack them up now. Keep working our way around this fence and back down the top of that ridge. See if we can pair any of these up. Another 1 year old. Number 7. Hoping we get to 10. That's the goal. This area right in here looks really good. There you go, right there, Joe. Here's an antler laying right there. Or actually 2 of them. The other side looks like it's right to the left. Both sides right there, side by side. Check that out. I got chewed a little bit. Squirrels got to it, but that's got to be a 2-year-old deer, judging by the mass. My goodness, I'd like to see that thing in 2 or 3 years. Whew. Wow. Well, we're just wrapping up for the day. I think that puts us to 9. Didn't quite make the 10 mark like I was hoping, but pretty good shed hunt. I think this farm would probably be better if you had no snow, because we didn't have any food out on it, so they'd have been out in that grass more so, because there's crop to the south. Well, south and west both got crops, so. But still, we didn't do too bad. 9. Well, tomorrow we're going to be doing the same thing. We're going to shed hunt again, and we're going to have another topic we want to discuss. So join us tomorrow. We'll be back with you.